Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies, and my name's Angela. I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady and welcome to another coaster tutorial. This one is for this cheeky little daisy here down in the corner. Now, as you can see along the top, there are a couple of other coaster designs that I already have available on the channel. The first one is this rose coaster. So it looks really lovely when it's laid out. And it also looks really lovely as a little bouquet style, where you can wrap it up, add a little bit of cotton wadding in the middle, and use that as a room fragrancer or car fragrancer. So that's number one. The second one is the lavender. Oh, and this is what it looks like laid out, and this one is what it looks like folded up. Okay, and it's your choice as to what you want to do with this guy. And of course you can fold this one the same as the rose. And last but not least is the daisy. I'm not showing it to you completely because the tester hasn't actually been finished, but come on, let's get on with the pattern. Okay, so for today's tutorial you are going to need a yellow and a white. Okay, I would suggest that if you're using this, if you're planning to use this to actually put hot drinks on, that you do use a cotton based yarn. It's got a higher melting point. But for today's tutorial I am using some bog standard yellow and some bog standard white DK yarn, which is acrylic. Hey, I'm using my scraps. So what you're also going to need is a darning needle, a pair of scissors and a 4mm hook, or of course whatever hook size your yarn calls for. And so let's get started with making the middle section, this bit here, the middle section of the flower. Now if you have made the other two, it is exactly the same pattern as you have used previously, but if you haven't touched those two yet and you're starting with this one, let's get on with it. Right, so what we're going to do first is make a double magic ring by taking your yarn, holding the tail, wrapping it around your finger 2 times. Then if you grab the tail and your working yarn, which is this long bit, hold that to the bottom there, pop your hook through, grab your working yarn and pull that through. Okay, as you do it you do slightly twist, which is brilliant because that's what you want. You're then going to turn your arm a little bit and pick up that working yarn again, okay, and twist it to bring the hook back. Now you can pull out your fingers, hook over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. Okay, and that secures it really lovely. Now working around both of the strands, we are going to place 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Once you have your 6 single crochets, pull up your yarn, okay, and then go back to your tail lightly hold the knot by the tail and gently pull until you see one of these strands moving. There we go. Now with this strand that was moving, you want to grab it up by your tail end and gently pull it. As you do, you'll notice that the other loop starts disappearing. Yay! Okay, just like that. Once that is done, you can grab your tail and you can pull. And that closes up your ring. Okay, so now let's set things up. Okay, so and now we're going to work on to round number 2. So for this one, what you're going to do is grab a stitch marker. I actually prefer a piece of yarn a different colour. You're going to pop that over. Pop your hook, your loop back on your hook. Then count back 6 and into that stitch you're going to pop your hook. Sorry, let's bring that up. And you can also work over your tail again if you wish. Now we're going to place 2 single crochets into each stitch. This will bring your stitch count up to 12. If you can hear the mice, I'm really sorry. It's a very hot day here in the UK, and of course acrylic yarn doesn't like being worked when it's warm. But as I said, pop 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. That will bring your stitch count up to 12. Now we're going to move on to round number 3. So for round number 3, your stitch count is, your stitch pattern, single in the first, increase or double, 2 single crochets into the second. Depends on the terminology, of course, that you use. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. So that is single crochet in the first, increase in the second. And you should end with an increase in your last stitch. Now for the next round, our stitch pattern is single crochet in the first 2 stitches, increase into the third. So it's single crochet in the first, single crochet in the second, 2 single crochets in the third. And you're going to do that all of the way around. And you should end with an increase in that last stitch. move your yarn up and over, make sure you get that very next stitch, and for the next round you are going to do, what did I do there? 3. So it's 3 single crochets, or a single crochet, sorry, in the next 3 stitches, followed by an increase, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. So that's a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, followed by an increase. I'll meet you back here. Your last stitch should be an increase. Okay, so and now we are back for round number 6. This one again is quite nice and easy. It is a single crochet over the next 4 and then increase. Okay, so that's single crochet over the next 4 and then into the next stitch, increase. And you're going to carry on that pattern all the way around. I'll meet you when you get to the end. You should end on an increase. Now for round number 7, we're going to move our marker up and over, make sure that we get into that very first stitch, and now we are going to single crochet over the next 5 and then increase into the next stitch. So that's single crochet over the next 5 and then increase into the next stitch. You're going to, of course, follow that pattern all the way around, and I will meet you at the end. Do not complete that last stitch. I'll show you what I mean in a few moments. Okay, so here we are, we're back for that very last stitch, which is part of your increase. So what you want to do is pull up your yarn as if you're going to do the stitch, but do not loop over again with the yellow. Instead, place the white over your hook and slide that through to finish your stitch. Now at this point, if you wish, you can of course cut your yellow yarn and weave in your end, or just carry on working. And now we are going to be working onto the very first petal. So let's get started. And what I will be doing is showing you how to do possibly 2 of the petals, and then I'll timestamp back to the beginning of the second petal for you to then carry on going as you go around and around, because there are going to be a good few petals on your daisy. Okay, so for this very first one, we are going to jump over and slip stitch into that very first stitch. Now we are going to chain 10. 3, 10. Once you have your chain of 10, you're going to hook over and work a half double crochet starting in the second chain from the hook and working all the way down. Okay, so that's half double crochet in each of the chains all the way down. In total you should have 9. Once you have your 9, we are going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches on the yellow section. Okay, so we'll slip stitch 1, slip stitch 2. Then you are going to turn your work and place a half double crochet in the next 8 stitches, working up your chain. Oh, sorry about any squeaking. So once you have finished those 8 half double crochets, you are going to place 3 single crochets into the last stitch on the top. This turns your corner. Now, working into the chain, coming all the way back down, you are going to place 9 single crochets. Okay, so just find the hole and pop it in. 1, 2. The 9th one can be a little bit awkward to find, but there we go. Now we're going to turn our work keeping your yarn to the back, and you are going to this bit is awkward. Okay, you're going to slip stitch into the last stitch of the round. Okay, so you're going to go back 1 stitch. You're going to pull your yarn up to create a slip stitch, and now we are going to slip stitch 2 more times. Oh, sorry. So our first slip stitch will be above our very first stitch there, our first slip stitch there. So that's number 1. Keep these quite loose. Your second one, okay, is going to be coming into this section here. Okay, so it will look something like that, and yours will probably look a lot neater. Now we are going to chain up 10, and we're going to start the petal all over again. So are you ready? Let's chain our 10. Now it's time for the half double crochets. So half double crochet starting in the 2nd chain from the hook and working your way down for a count of 9. The 9th stitch can be a little bit confusing because it looks like it should be part of the chain from the previous flower. Okay, don't worry, because that helps make it sit over the top. Okay, so where was I going? Half double crochet. Okay, so and now we are going to slip stitch into the next unworked stitch and the one after. Okay, turn our work and half double crochet for a count of 8, working up the side of the petal. Once you have done those 8 half double crochets, into the 9th stitch you place 3 single crochet. And then place 9 single crochet working down the side. Now we need to slip stitch, so we are going to turn our work, keeping your working yarn behind your hook. This is the fiddly bit. We are going to lay our second petal over the top of our first, see where they look nice and neat, and then we're going to anchor in with a slip stitch. If you look here, it is normally the second stitch that's been worked, because your first is your anchor and your second is where the chain originally came out of the first with the first petal. So pop in there, grabbing, oh gosh, there we go, grabbing your working yarn, pull up, pull through, okay, and then secure. Then we are going to slip stitch 2 evenly, and then we start the process again of chaining up 9 and working onto the next petal. So this is what they'll look like at the moment. As you build up more, you'll be able to flip them forwards and flip them backwards so that they look like the ones on this daisy here. Okay, and just keep going with this pattern until you have done all of the petals that you need to fill it up. It's going to take you a while, I'm sorry to say. As I said, I still haven't finished this one yet, and I certainly haven't timed myself to work out how long it's going to take me. But I will meet you back here in a few moments when it comes to fastening that last petal down and making it all look cute and lovely. I will see you shortly. Okay, so we're back for this last leaf now. Yes, I have got carried away, and I've already started creating it, which means I've already chained up and worked down the first side. So now it's a case of slip stitching over these last 2, and of course flipping your work and then carrying on the pattern up and around. I will meet you again in a few moments for the last section. Okay, so I'm back with you for this very last very last stitch. Okay, so what we're going to do is, of course, pop it in to the same spot you have previously to anchor it down. You are then going to do your slip stitches as per normal across the bottom of your leaf. This is where it gets awkward because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. Now, instead of chaining up again, we are going to do a 3rd slip stitch, And then we are going to slip stitch another one and then cut off your yarn. I know, wrong scissors. Giving yourself a nice tail. There we go. Pull up your yarn and scooch down that knot. Oh, there we go. So when it comes to hiding your ends now, this end here, the last one you were working with, you can weave up and down that very last petal. And then when it comes to weaving your very first end, which I didn't leave myself enough, oops, you are going to pull that end over, okay, and run a slip stitch through that very first loop. So you're going to literally go like this, not a slip stitch, just run it through, okay, which will then pull it into place. And then of course you can turn it over and sew your end or weave your end up and down, tie a little knot to ensure it's definitely secured, and then you are done. So let's lay this big girl out so you can see what she could look like. Now of course, please remember my ends are definitely not sewn in because I'm still doing this in front of the camera. Okay, yes, there are a great deal of petals and I'm still not there yet. Okay, so that's it, just laid out as is. But of course you can sit there and you can weave one in front of the other, going round to create the petals the way that you want to. Now if you would like to ensure that they don't move, you can run a little slip stitch with your darning needle, not a slip stitch on your hook, but basically just weave the yarn backwards and forwards, going around about 1 to 2 stitches up all the way around. I will show you that method in a few minutes if you would like. Now it's time to set up the flowers so that the petals are sitting where you want them to be. Now there is an odd number of petals, meaning at some point in here you're going to have 2 petals sitting together. I'm placing my 2 at the back. Okay, so here we go. You're just going to flip one petal forward, hold the next one back, and you're going to keep doing that all the way around so that they all sit in line and sit roughly where you want them to be. I'm only doing this and just so that the stitches know where they're meant to be. Now of course you don't have to set them like this, you can set them so that they're just sitting over the top of each other all the way around, sort of half over, half under. Okay, so there we go, that is the set done. Okay, we'll leave that for a second. Thread a darning needle with of course some white yarn. Now pick any petal you like and jump into the back of it, approximately 2 stitches up. And we're going to pull through some of our yarn. Leave yourself a reasonable tail to sew in, and then bring the next petal and lay it over the top. You're going to go into the edge of the second petal and into the section here that's running up of the petal below. And then back up again along the next stitch, and then lay the next petal behind. And then we're just going to keep going in and out, picking up the petals as you come across them and making sure that where needed you work through both of the petals. And you're going to carry on doing this all the way around. So of course sometimes you'll be working just through the one petal and other times you are working through 2. Now I've done this a little bit high. I would actually come down a little bit lower than where I am, so I'm sort of about 3 up. I would do 2 up, that way it's going to be a less noticeable. Okay, but that gives you a clear view of how to do it and where to go. I will meet you in a few moments once it's done. Right, so here is the daisy all done and dusted. I haven't actually pegged it out or done anything like that yet, but if you wanted to, now would be an ideal time to spray it with some water or a little bit of starch and slap a book on it so that it sits nicely. But as far as I'm concerned, daisies aren't completely flat, they're curly here and curly there, so I'm not bothering. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and please remember, if you haven't had the opportunity to check out the roses or the lavender, the links will be in the description box and of course in the I button up here. I would absolutely love to receive a photograph of your daisies, even if you change colours. So please check the description box down below for my email information, and also if you could pop on there what your channel name is, the name you go by here on YouTube, whether you have a channel or not, and of course what yarn and hook size combination you used. That would be really appreciated. And then I can show off your stunning daisy in a whips, bits and chat at a later point. And another cheeky ask, if you could leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me if you like this tutorial or not. I really don't mind, or any other comment. And also give this video a thumbs up. Now don't forget, if you are doing Crafty Moo Sarah's Flower Power Cow, this is 2023's edition, the links to that will also be in the description box down below, and this is something you could use as your entry for this month, or next month, or the month after, or at least an entry anytime this year. Right, that is it for me for today. Thank you ever so much for joining, and I will see you all really soon. So please remember, stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Goodbye everybody. I'm Sarah from Crafty Moo Sarah's. Over to you. Challenge accepted and challenge set. For anybody that doesn't know, she woke me up at 7:30 in the morning and asked if I could do a daisy. It's done. Her turn. Goodbye everybody.